Yes, hello everyone. Let's try to do some really interesting things with Adobe Camera Raw. Now, in the first section, I talked about how we can get an infinite number of images out of one raw file. So let's actually try to do that with some image. Okay, so here are some images that I have taken on a boat somewhere in middle Norway, and I'm going to load the original JPEG file to have a look at it. Now here is the file, and this is of course during summer, and it doesn't look like this during winter. Okay, so let's load the corresponding raw file into Adobe Camera Raw. Now we have explored the exposure, we have explored fill light, we have basically explored how to fit our histogram within the region that we would like for it to be in. So let's actually, for this image, let's push this fill light a little bit such that this part of the histogram which is lost comes back in. Okay. And now let's go to this HSL, and HSL stands for a color space, which is the hue, saturation, luminance. And now this one allows us to control the amount of red, oranges, yellows, greens, aquas, blues, purples, and magentas in the image. So now this is basically the one that says hue. We have hue, saturation, and luminance, which is where the name HSL comes from. Okay, so now if we were to start changing the thread, for example, and let's take it all the way back. I didn't see much change in the image. Let's take it all the way forward. Oops, move it one. Take it all the way forward. Now if you notice here on this orange color, if we were to go back, we can change the hue of this from something that is quite red to almost a greenish yellowish color. So we can do the same with the oranges. Let's see what we get. Now again, this emphasizes this change. Also look at the skin color. Now it is yellowish, while if we go here, it's quite reddish and almost unnatural. Okay, so let's just put it somewhere here. The same thing obviously can be done for the yellows. Now if you look at this sign here, this is going from a green color to a yellowish color, and now you kind of feel that it doesn't change all the images. It changes those parts of the image where there is a sufficient amount of that color for it to be changed. Now I suspect the aquas should change. The aquas are not changing very much. Okay, let's try the blue, because we have quite a bit of blue in the image. Okay, so this flattens the blue. We notice it on the shirt. The shirt goes from green to purple. And if we do the same with purple, now of course we have completely changed the color regions of the image. Let's look at the saturation. Now in the saturation we get exactly the same sliders, and basically we are also changing the reds. It's not changing very much, changing the oranges. Now we are getting a completely different look of the image, and that is something that we can do either to emphasize something in the image or to get us an artistic expression of the image. In my experience, we need to kind of look at digital images and think of them as a canvas where we are going to paint. This can be great fun once you start playing with the image and actually not looking for the result to just match your experience or your memory, but looking for the result to be an expression of how you would like the image to look. Once you start doing that, you can get a million things out of a digital image, and they can actually look very nice. Okay, so blues, this changes the result quite a bit now. Now the shirt has gone to gray, or it can go to purple. The sky has gone to purple. The magentas, okay, this is not changing very much. The same thing can be done for luminance. But actually, to get a real good feeling of these, the power of these methods, I would suggest that you try to convert the image to grayscale. Okay, now in the grayscale, convert to grayscale. Here now you notice that these sliders are shifted, and the reason they are shifted is because we have shifted the color balance. So if we go to default, this will give us the original grayscale image as converted by Photoshop. And now let's try to change the balances of these colors and basically see how this grayscale image is now changing. You see a face here which almost appears flat when we push the reds to 100%, and then we are getting some nice details, and then it becomes unnatural. Let's actually zoom into the face, because this. So here is what we are getting. Here is what we are getting with just changing the red. A very flat expression, a nice normal expression, more tonality, and then we are starting to degrade the image. And here we get just unnatural look. Okay, let's try to do that with the oranges. Now again the same thing. And look at this expression. I happen to think that this is a very nice expression, but this is not the point. The point is actually how much we can change an image. So this is a bit too much. Images, of course, that have faces and skin tones, they are difficult because we expect skin tones to be a certain tone. But just the same, let's try to change these sliders up and down. And for example, notice that by changing the yellow slider, putting it all the way down to -100, we have lost this sign. It's almost invisible. Now if we change it to +24, this sign is now popping up. So one of the goals with converting an image to grayscale is that we would want to have as much contrast as we can, because that is the thing we like with a grayscale image. We would like an image that has quite a bit of contrast. So then we can, for example, aim to do that without actually degrading the image. So now if we push the blues to 100%, notice that we have lost the detail in the sky, but also notice that we have got the shirt to really stand out from the jacket. If we put it about here, the shirt is now melting with the jacket as if it was a jacket with arms rather than a shirt and a vest on top. If we push it all the way down, now we are getting something to change radically in the sky, and that is becoming a completely different expression of the image. Okay, so let's try what we can get with the purples. And here it seems that there isn't much purple. What we can do with the magentas. Now, of course, notice that everything we do to one channel is going to affect the other channel. So once we like something, for example, I like this blue at a low value. Now we can again try to see what we can achieve with the red. And now you see that we are getting something that is again standing out. Now it seems that the red is not affecting the face as much as when we had the blue. So we can push down the orange, for example. Okay, so here is a very interesting look. And now let's go to the 12%. And now we see that this face has become quite dark, as if it was a person who is working on the mines. And this face also has become quite dark, so we don't really want it all the way that much. I mean, of course, what we want is, just now I am deciding that anyone who's using this is going to make their own decisions. Okay, so now that we have the image like this, we might want to go back and look what would happen if we were to change the exposure. So we could set the exposure, for example, to here. If we go and change the curves, now you see that because we have pushed the exposure, we don't have very much information in the highlight. So let's push that up, for example. Let's push the light up a little bit. Now notice how much contrast we have got in the skies. And now if we push the darks a little bit down and maybe the shadows a little bit up to just get us some more information. Now this is one of the images that we can get by doing this. So we can just push the red slightly up so that the image appears natural. And now let's open this image. Now here is the original. Let's try to desaturate this. Desaturate. Now this is like the default grayscale conversion from Photoshop. Now let's look at this on top of this. Let's close this, not save it. And then here are two images. The one is the one we have just got from Adobe Camera Raw, and the other is the one that we have got from just desaturating the image normally. And of course, using Photoshop and using the layers, now we have two layers, so we can mix the layers until we got an image that we like. Now here is the extreme end of the scale. Here is something that I find to be a beautiful grayscale image, so I can just now merge those two layers, and this becomes my grayscale image. So thank you very much, and next time we will explore even some more functionalities of Adobe Camera Raw.